Hello and welcome to another edition of In the Metal. In the Metal is our behind the scenes look at the world of independent watchmaking. We examine the techniques and the artistry of the guys behind the scenes who manufacture some of the most incredible mechanical creations of our time. One of the things that constantly astounds me is that a lot of what we're looking at, the roots of this amazing world of watchmaking go back 300 plus years. And tonight's guest is one of the very few practitioners of the centuries old art of crafting automata, little machines that are no time telling function, but they were amusements for the noble, for the wealthy in the 17th, 18th centuries. And but before we get to that, I would like to introduce my partner in crime, my partner in time, if you like. And he's over in North Carolina. Needs no introduction. However, I'll introduce him. He is former six-string hard rock, heavy metal, Hellraiser, present day US master watchmaker, master of complications, and all round great guy. Over to you, Dan. Welcome to In the Metal tonight.
How you doing, Johnny? What's up there in Green Beer Land?
It's all good, man. There's no beer just now, but it won't be long.
Well, we're doing good. I'm in my shop. It's been raining here a few days. A little update on my timepiece here. I've been working on the escapement parts, the titanium. I decided to do a few more parts made out of titanium. So I've been in programming land, and they're hitting my bench momentarily. So we are full steam ahead here, and that's about it.
Epic.
Everything is rock and rolling. I'm really excited for this one, my boy. This is somebody that he doesn't know that I've been following for a long time. He doesn't know that yet.
Yeah, so, it's amazing because you have a hell of an awareness of what's going on. You spend a lot of time in Switzerland, so you know what's the people, you know who's doing what, and so often when our guests come on, they're surprised to know that Dan Spitz has been one of their fans for a long time, and it's great to introduce our friend tonight. And you know what? It shows the caliber of the people that we have had on In the Metal so far are the
amazing,
best damn independent watchmakers in the world, and that is gonna continue. And we're going to kick off tonight with a guy who is, as I said, he is creator of one of the most beautiful little pieces of contemporary horologic art, and we're going to get a look at that little fella later on.
Well, let's not forget he is an AHCI member.
Yeah, full.
For those who don't know, AHCI is an extremely a prestigious organization. It was the first of its kind to recognize talent that is above the norm, and then above that norm, and then above that norm, and then twisted above that norm, and then usually it's the dude must be psychotic and have extreme OCD problems. That's the guy that they might even look at. So we do have a special person in the house tonight, and we are certainly blessed to have these kind of people right at the onset of our program. I think these people have a message to tell beyond the messages they've been trying to tell, and me and Johnny just try to rip that out of their faces.
Well, as I say, man, we're focusing exclusively on the real deep into the independent sector. We're not really looking to talk to CEOs of the big companies like Rolex or anything like that there. So we're just looking at the independent world, and that for me is where the passion, the creativity, the innovation, sometimes you're flying by the seat of your pants because you know there's no precedent for what you're doing, at least not in this day and age. So without any further delay, I would like to welcome AHCI full member and man of the automata. Are you an automaton? Mr. Raúl Pagès. Welcome, Raúl.
Hi there.
What an introduction.
I like your imitation of an automaton.
Yeah,
really cool.
So welcome, Raúl, live from Switzerland tonight, and it's in I see you're in your workshop, in your atelier. So it's fantastic. Good, yourself in your atelier. Dan is in his workshop in North Carolina, and I am talking to you from Ireland. So it's a great pleasure to welcome you on board, and so look forward to hearing a little bit about what you're doing and some of the things that you've achieved in the past and where it all began for you. So, Dan, do you want to say hello to Raúl?
No, yeah, no, right, Raúl. Real happy to see you. I think you've heard now. You've been listening a little bit of what I've had to say. You probably didn't realize that I've been following you for a while, not just social media, but just your watchmaking in general, and the high standard that it sets for everybody else, which is what we all have to do. It's set a standard that's above the normal standard, above corporate, above this, above that, and then it becomes art, and our mechanical and our micro-mechanical art. And you broke into the scene. We all know what you broke into the scene with your turtle, which, if you don't know my history in music, there was certainly turtles, all around me, but they were Ninja Turtles. They were cartoons, and they were mean. They were nasty. They weren't the nice little turtles for little kids, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles they have now. They were evil when they first started out. And, they were on my guitar. So we certainly have something in common besides what we're doing now. The turtles have infected us some way, somehow. And we're all following you. It's just a pleasure to have someone with your knowledge here. And what I'd like to start with is the background of how you got infected with watchmaking. And I know that you have extensive schooling, such as I did. You did 7 years of appropriate schooling as a foreigner in a foreign land, like I did. Well, you're still there. I don't know how you're still there, but you're still there. So if you could just fill us in briefly, and everybody else, how important that schooling is at the school of, you went in Lalac, and you really went for it. So if you could tell us a little bit how important schooling is to what we do as independents. We don't just freestyle it, and that solid foundation, how that helped you where you are right now, and how your brain operates from that solid foundation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. Like you say, I started the watchmaking school very young, at the age of 16. And I started apprenticeship of 4 years to be a basic watchmaker. So we learned the base of watchmaking, how to assemble watch, how to making some components, simple components, making the finishings, and how to repair a watch movement. And it was a very good base apprenticeship for me. And after that, I decided to continue in the watchmaking school of Lolocle to specialize in the restoration of watchmaking, antique watchmaking. And that's, for me, what it was amazing. It was that's here the passion for watchmaking started for me. During this, it's 2 additional years after these 4 years of basic watchmaking, and it was amazing. Because you learn about history of watchmaking and how to respect watch when you repair an antique watch movement. You got to respect it. And for example, you don't have a spare components. If a wheel is broken, you cannot just replace it, take another one and replace it in the movement. You got to make it. So you learn a lot about making components with traditional machines, and that's very interesting. And you got to make it like it was in the past. So to respect the watch movement. And for me, it was amazing to learn everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And after these 2 years in the watchmaking school of Le Locle, there is 2 specializations, one in restoration of antique watchmaking, and another specialization is to develop the development, construction with the computer programs, 3D computer programs.
CAD-CAM.
Yeah, CAD-CAM.
Mm-hmm.
And you learn to develop new movements. And
was that in the watchmaking school of Le Locle as well that they were teaching? Oh, that's wonderful. I didn't know they offered that. Wow.
Yeah. And because I had already the first diploma of in restoration, I could make the other specialization in 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
Normally, it's 2 years of study. So that's why I made 7 years.
You are not a Swiss citizen, so how were you able to get into that particular school? Because most people in your situation would end up at WOSTEP back then.
No, because so in fact I'm born in Switzerland. You know.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
My parents are from Spain. They are Spanish original. They came in Switzerland as a child, so my parents met in Switzerland. And I'm born in Switzerland. Yeah.
Okay. Because
I grew up in Switzerland, close to La Chaux-de-Fonds. There's a lot of watchmaking.
Yep.
everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I don't know if you know. I went to WOSTEP, so
yeah, in the Châtel.
Similar path like you. That's why I find your story of schooling that I want to stay on for a little while, a little bit different than other people that I've spoken to and other people I will speak to. Because our paths are a little similar. I did a 4-year school here, which was the Boulevard School of Watchmaking, which no longer exists. In fact, I was the last graduating class. So again, back then it was a very long and lengthy process of 4 years. Now I think they're 2 years, most of the schools. So it was 4 years. And like you said, I think the best part of what we did thereafter, for me going to WOSTEP or you taking that next 2-year course was that's when you move into respect the timepiece, because they do think if you're going that deep, we are going to end up in very proper restoration, not fix a Rolex or fix a Audemars Piguet, but so that part of here's the book. You know, we would get the restoration on our bench, let's say from the school, and they would say, now we have to find out where it came from, who made this, who made that, and yes, it's missing 2 wheels. Let's do the math, but those 2 wheels have to be not just 2 wheels, but made so no one can tell at all that it wasn't made by the person who made that timepiece. And I find that, I found that a turning point in my career. I see it was certainly a turning point in your career. And a lot of other watchmakers don't get that. Just so you know, I think you know now, most don't get that education, and they keep moving on, and they never find the proper pathway and the proper way to really restore something. And when I used to get stuff on my bench later on, like you did probably, as we're going to get to now, the time after school, when you do proper restorations, we get what on our bench, yes, a piece that was repaired, it's working, but it's not proper. It's not proper for a museum to place in a museum and so forth. Or we see people who are just improperly repairing watches, and we're the people that they come to. That, like I did some work for Phillips auctioneers and stuff like that, where it has to be done proper. For museums, and that's the part that I found really fascinating in my walk as what I do, and it's very much a part of my new timepiece as well. Just like what you're doing, which we'll get to, and that's what the reason I mention all this is for the collectors that purchase our pieces that are watching this. It's not just that we make a timepiece, that is our art, but it's our past. How were we trained, our apprenticeships, because that all goes into what we do. We don't cut corners, and then we don't cut corners some more, and then we try to be a step above the other guy, and we're not doing it to be a step above the other guy. We're doing it from our training for ourselves. It's that self-gratification to be the best, because I'm not going to be here in 50 years. but my timepieces will be here for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. The way I build mine, and I know the way you build yours, they're going to be that way. We're talking to someone here that went to 7 years of school. Have you doctors and attorneys? Did you do 7 years? It's about 7 years.
Yeah.
So I want everyone to understand the road we take is not easy. And that 7 years is just school. We still don't know anything when we come out of school. Now we apprentice again. Right, Raúl? After school, you go back and you apprentice again, right?
Yeah.
Forever we apprentice.
Exactly. But that's
yeah, Johnny, go ahead.
It's very interesting in restoration, I think. Because now I continue to and I really want to keep this restoration work in my workshop. And that's interesting because you learn every day. Each pocket watch you restore, you have different problems, and you discover something else. And it's very important for me to keep this know-how, this knowledge, and you learn every day with this.
Prior to this, I was speaking to you, Raúl, before we went on. I was saying that I have been watching. John McGonigal has been working on a 130-year-old minute repeater split-second chronograph by Jules Jorgensen, and to look at the beauty of that work, that is. It's excessive. It's far more beautiful than it has any need to be. So it's actually flamboyant. It's nearly a little bit of showing off of skills that you can apply these different finishes, the beveled surfaces, the graining, the polishing, the striping and things like that are on these movements. So I have a question to you, and both of you actually, guys. Do you reckon that when you're working on a watch that's 130 or 150 years old, you get an insight into the mind of the person who was making that watch all that time ago? Do you think that working on that watch puts you in touch with that same guys? You can see what his thought process was?
Go ahead, Raúl.
So I didn't really understand.
He wants to know, like, when you break out a piece, let's say you're doing a restoration for a museum piece or something like that, and when we have to do that, when we open it up and take a look at it, what does it do for us? Does it change our mind? Do we learn from that gentleman? Does it really represent who he is that created that piece? You have to get inside his mind, is what he's saying.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think also the beauty when you restore an antique pocket watch, when finishing are very, very good, and you dismantle the dial, and you can see under the dial the finishing are perfect. And
to be so quite blunt, I think a lot of times, I've said this a few times in the past, when I was a young watchmaker with my grandfather, the first time you start taking the bridges off a vintage Patek Philippe pocket watch, and it's decorated under there.
Yeah, exactly.
Just for the watchmaker.
Exactly.
That's and then it goes from there, and then you get to somewhere where, like, say, Raúl is, or we've both done stuff for museums and all the time, and it's literally like he said, you take the dial off, and Johnny. And you literally could put that dial down, you put your tweezers down, you sit back, and you do say, holy shit. Like, pardon my language, but you will. you just stand there, right? Like you even might say it just in your mind. You're just like wow. It's mind blowing. It's like, it just blows our mind sometimes. And that's why we're here. That's why when we go to create our own pieces, we have a little piece of that dude in what we do. And everywhere we go, we capture what's captured us. It could be maybe his just decoration or the way he beveled a certain bridge a certain way. It's never left our head. So say when Raúl is now, I we'll get to it, but I know he's creating his next piece now, his own in-house movement. He's going to have a little piece of that dude in him from his pathway of the past, and he's going to place that in his piece. And that's what we're doing here with our show here, trying to leave a little bit of this historical words for everybody else into the future to know that's how it's done. You have to be classically trained. You should be, at least I should say. You should, do a lot of as much restoration work as you can. And I'm trying to show that someone like Raúl, all of us everyone we speak to here, you'll see, no matter who they are, all of us still want to do restoration work. You all probably wonder, like, why is that dude doing he doesn't need to do restoration work. Now he's got his own watch, he makes his own money. He doesn't need that. Why is he doing it? We love it. Because when that special piece comes through the door, we do say yes. If you look on my website, there's a whole page dedicated to, do you have something? Is it special? Or when Philips or someone calls me, I did a very rare Rolex for them. Back to the first Rolex chronograph ever. They were stuck a little bit. That's cool. It's like, I want to see inside that. It gets us going.
The zero graph, if I remember.
That's also interesting in the more in pieces older, in maybe pieces which are made 200 years ago, maybe like a Frère Rocha pistol singing bird or pieces like that.
Yes.
Sometimes you can see the watchmakers, they made modifications on the movement, and you can see how why they proceed these kind of modifications, and that's very interesting technically to see. It's original. It's not modification made after. It was original to the piece, but you can see this kind of technical move made by the watchmakers.
As he progresses, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So for you, we're going to fast forward a little bit here. We know how you kind of entered independent watchmaking, and you really did grab it with your first piece, which I think all of us know all about. And then you got a lot of eyes on you, and you had to present now a wristwatch, and you've seen everything, you've seen complicated stuff and all that. And you kept it nice and simple, and your timepiece was so well received. It was just pleasant to look at. It was just you nailed it. Right out of the gate. You nailed it, and you did it properly. You know how difficult it was to try and make your own main plate, and you did it the way somebody in school would almost do it. Creating your own bridges. Of course, the next level, and the next level, the next level. And I know you based it on the SEMA, which I actually have one here if everyone would like to see. And we're going to talk about that.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you can talk about this SEMA, and we're going to talk about it. Here's the other side. If anyone hasn't seen this, I don't know how good it's coming out there.
That's okay, my man. That's
So this is like a 33.4 millimeter or 0.3 millimeter pocket watch movement. So it's not as big as an ETA 64, 97, 98, but it's just about, to me, it's about the perfect size. And back then it was with Breguet hairspring. And as a watchmaker, you're probably wondering why I just happen to have one here. It's because it kicks ass. It's a kind of a hidden gem within all these. Everyone's just doing 64, 98. And why don't you tell us the story why you picked that movement to base your timepiece off of, and tell us that story.
Yeah, of course. So after I made the tortoise, my first piece, and after that I wanted to show that I'm also a watchmaker and I can produce wristwatches. I wanted, of course, it was my dream to create my first wristwatch with my name.
Yeah.
So, and I chose the SEMA movement because I wanted to have this link with the restoration. So to take a vintage movement and to update the movement with the best quality of finishing and some kind of modification. I wanted to add my style in of the design, and I chose this movement because of the quality of the movement. It's very good quality. All the components, the base components, are very good, and the dimensions, like you said, Dan.
Yeah, it's perfect.
It's perfect. It's perfect for a contemporary wristwatch.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of diameter, and it's also very thin. It's a very thin movement.
Yeah.
And
I think this movement. I think we both agree this movement was way ahead of its time. And yeah,
and because I wanted to have a wristwatch very classical, elegant, so I didn't want to have a very huge thickness of the watch. So that's also why I chose the silver.
How did you come across that particular 586 though? Because they're not everywhere, but they are everywhere. So you must have restored one somewhere, taken it apart, like we said, and said, this thing is like, how did they get a Breguet in there? It's really thin. It's perfect size. Like, why didn't like Patek or someone else steal this movement way back when? Because it really should get more recognition. So that's why I'm bringing this up, Raúl, so you know that, again, the people that are watching here, they know what you're using for a bass in that timepiece. But I want to reassure everyone through me, what I'm saying as another watchmaker, that this is one of the best movements that comes across our bench. Price or not, you might see them out there. They're not too expensive to find if you can find a good one. But for a bass and a bass main plate, if you want to make your own timepiece, and like Raúl, I mean, Raúl's making his own balance wheel. He's the whole watch is brand new again, of course, but it's an alternative to a basic 6498. And you can find, these main plates out there. And, I'm putting my stamp on this. I mean, I have one here. So obviously it's the perfect size, of just a little bit smaller than those 6498s. And to me, that makes for a better wearing watch as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
We actually have some images of the Soberly Onyx. So
yeah, throw those up.
I have the front image, but we'll start, I think, with the movement side, and so you can talk your way through it. I think what you've done here, Raúl, you have created your own. You've replaced the original balance, if I'm correct. You have created your own bridges, and so you have
the balance wheel bridge. Yeah.
Only the balance.
The other bridges are modified. I modified the shape, and of course I do the finishings. But I keep the other bridges, but I make the balance wheel bridge and balance wheel. Of course.
It's very beautiful. It's very beautiful. And Dan, you can appreciate that Raúl has put his own stamp on that Dulcima movement, and it's an absolutely beautiful finishing in it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Raúl's taking it way farther than that. He's being modest, or maybe my translation is too metal fast for him, but he's putting chatons in for the jewels. He's reshaping the bridges. This is not easy tasks. These take a very long time. I thought some of the bridges, you are making new bridges just for balance wheel?
Yeah.
Okay. German silver or rhodium brass?
German silver. Yeah.
German silver.
Yeah.
And the finishing you do, is you using a sandblaster, or you do old school by hand? How are you doing it?
I use a circular brush with metallic pins. With this shape, the pins, and it's turning, and with the hand I put the bridge on the brush, which is turning.
Old school.
Old school. Yeah.
On the Shablin 70, you spin?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
I see you love this. You do most of your work on that 70. Or you have a beautiful workshop. For those who haven't seen Raúl's, obviously look on his Instagram. There are a few pictures. He keeps it mainly secret a little bit. I think he's got to send some more pictures. We all love to see machines. Raúl, send us more pictures. It's like food, bro. Now he's in love with his 70. Obviously, when we go to traditional schools, everyone should know we spend most of our time on a Shaolin 70. It's kind of the dream machine that way back when Raúl and I went to school, we couldn't really afford them. They weren't available secondhand. So to get one now in our career, it still kind of blows our mind. The younger watchmakers might be a little bit spoiled because they can't find them now. But back then when I went to school, we had favorites in Wo-Step and Shaoblins, they were purchased new. They weren't reselling them again. So Raúl has a completely outfitted 70. He has all the gear plates. From what I understand, you have all 4 gear plates, right? For that, to cut gears.
Gear plates? What?
To indexing plate for Shaolin to make gears.
Yes, sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
to divide.
Division.
Yeah, exactly.
This is SFO 102, but you have.
Yes, it's important. Yeah, exactly. Like you said, to make the wheels, pinions. With a very good all the accessories for the Shaolin 70. Yeah, you can make everything. You can
everything. And you have also you use the Hauser for jig bore.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But 2A2 Hauser.
Right.
I just bought it last year. Before I had a smaller version of it was a very small version of the jig bower.
Was it Hauser also?
No, it's a Marcel Aubert. It's quite rare to find.
This one I don't know. I don't think unless I see it.
But maybe I have.
Oh, you still have it?
This one.
Oh yeah. I've seen that on your Instagram.
It's more rare, but it's also good. I made all the tortoise components with this machine.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And you have
now I have this one.
The beast.
This is the Hauser.
This is the beast.
Machine.
Beautiful. That's a beautiful workshop. And I see you have a Shaolin drill where you do perlage. Huh?
Yeah, exactly. In fact, my workshop is maybe my workshop is in Les Brenets. And in fact, my workshop was the first workshop of Seitz. I don't know if you know
Seitz,
this kind of tools.
Yeah.
To put the rubies in the movement. And they produced here in the workshop in around 1940.
Wow!
It was one of the first manufacturing of synthetic rubies in the area.
Wow!
And
that's great.
Even your workshop has a historical connection. So
exactly.
It's too bad it's too bad they didn't leave a couple cabinets of jewels behind for you, huh? We all know how rare these. So just so everyone knows, like when we say this watch has 18 jewels or 18 rubies, let me finish. We really should let people know about some of this stuff. Previously, before synthetic stones, which I guess I'm kind of jumping ahead of myself here, they were in pocket watches that me and Raúl would see on our bench if we're doing restorations. They were true, real sapphires and real rubies. And what they do is they couldn't make ball bearings that small for the pocket watch wheels. So the next hardest and best thing to hold oil and greases was to drill up some rubies and drill up some sapphires. And think of them as the bearing of the shaft of all our wheels and all our pinions. And we've just kept them ever since. Now some things we've tried on automatic units, we have ball bearings and ceramic ball bearings and whatnot. But people like Raúl and myself we're very traditionalists. Because we've done so much restoration, we know what will last hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. We really don't want to try anything new to see maybe it will last. We know what lasts because it's already on our desk, and we can easily repair somebody's timepiece that they made all alone by themselves, just like the both of us are making now. That gentleman is long gone. but we can put his timepiece right back into action and make a new gear, make a new pinion, whatever it may need, replace the rubies. The new ones that we use, that the company he's speaking about cites, moved on from real ones and invented synthetics, which are stronger, harder, last longer, et cetera, and more easily obtainable. So that's what we use nowadays. We still print 18 joules or 97 joules or whatever, 107 joules, whatever they want to put on there to make you think the watch is better the more joules it is. But they're not even joules. They're synthetic. But they're still expensive. It looks cool. They're still expensive as hell. That's why I said I wish they left some behind for Raúl.
That actually brings up another question that I was thinking of during the week. I hadn't written it down. I should have. Was a lot of these older components or materials, are they becoming harder to find now? For example, the rubies. Who was speaking to during the week? And there was I can't remember, but it was old materials. That's for punching those rubies in, man.
Your tool maybe come from here.
Yeah.
Now it's in America. Maybe it was produced.
Of course.
Yeah. Brilliant. So listen, one thing I wanted to talk about, because we've looked, we haven't actually finished with the Onyx yet. We'll take a look at the front of Onyx. You can explain about the dial process, and then in a minute or two, we'll have to look at La Tortue, which is beautiful. But in a moment, so there is the front of your the Onyx, the Soberly Onyx, and so what's going on? What are the techniques with the dial there? For example, is that enamel or?
Yep. So I wanted to have a very classical design, but very pure, very clean design. And I also really like the Art Deco era.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the 20th century, and they use a lot of onyx, the stone onyx, on this era.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I chose the onyx as a dial. And the material is brilliant, is awesome. It's very dark, so it's dark, much more darker than enamel. When you see it, the black color is very intense.
Yes.
And that's why I chose it. And also for the polishing. So I don't make myself the dial. I order in a manufacturer in Germany who are specialists in gem cutting.
Yes.
But they polish it, and it's very impressive, the quality of the flat polishing. You know, as a watchmaker, we like flat polishing for the movement.
Yes.
And for the dial with Onyx, you can achieve a really flat polish. It's perfect. And,
it's like a bottomless pool. It's like the surface of the jet black surface of a
ice, maybe. And with enamel, it's sometimes it's a roundy. When you polish the enamel, it's kind of roundy. But with the stone, it's very hard, the stone, and it's very flat, and it's very, very good to see it. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Well, see, I think Raúl, in the back of his mind, was thinking this will last forever and ever and ever. Longevity. Someone who comes from a complete restoration background, such as himself, that's how we think. How can we make this last and last and last and last? Enamel we love. Eventually, it will, have hairline cracks in it, and we, after about 100 years. They do start to crack no matter what. They just will, but they are long lasting, a lot longer lasting than most other dials. Guilloche, of course, we all love. That's eternal. but extremely expensive. And you have to find the person that you really can convey what you want to be able to make that. And that's a special look. And Raúl really nailed his own look for his own timepiece. And if you haven't seen it, you really must be out of touch, first of all, because it made a huge impact for all of independent watchmaking, to the point where, you know, Raúl is a member of AHCI. So I really would like to touch base a little bit about AHCI. For those who don't know AHCI, I kind of said a little bit about them, presented them a little bit at the beginning. As independent watchmakers, many years ago, this was a great struggle to get our name out there before a platform such as we're on today, having our own television station, our own internet, meaning Instagram, where we can place our pictures. We needed great help, and they really pushed forward independent watchmaking into the forefront, and they choose certain people who they deem worthy to watch for a few years or so. And then they can vote, the board votes to see if they will actually become a member of AHCI. And they really raised the bar and brought great awareness to our skills.
Yeah.
And this being an art, it's not about just time, telling the time. We are true artists, like a painter. A famous painter is an artist. Our stuff will live on and live on and live on. Raúl's will be here a long time. As far as he's concerned, I know it. He's just getting started. We're always just getting started.
Yes.
And we put the series 2, series 3, series 4.
Of course.
That's where we're at. But AHCI, I just want to give a shout out to them. You know, I really think that America should have an organization just such as this, and a lot of other countries should also break out. Japan should certainly have their own. China should have their own. I know AHCI represents the world, but there should be maybe like a subcategory kind of thing. So if you can just explain to the other people that are watching, or watchmakers and connoisseurs, what AHCI has done for you, or what it means for all of independent watchmaking. I blathered on what I think it means, but you're knee deep in it.
Yeah, of course. When I was younger, and I wanted to, it was my dream to be an independent watchmaker. I go in at the Basel World in the AHCI booth, and it was a dream for me to enter this academy. And when I finished the tortoise, of course, I tried to enter this academy. So I put a candidature. I don't know how to say it. I put
application.
Application, yeah. I put the application, and they accepted me.
French?
Yeah, you speak French very well. Maybe we continue in French.
Oui, bien sûr. No.
And the AHCI is very, very important for me, because it's I don't know how to say. It's of course it's a lot of visibility, and together we are more stronger than each one alone. We are stronger all together. And for example, at the exhibitions, when we exhibit together, people are coming. It's a famous academy, so people are coming to see independent watchmakers, what they do, what the novelties. Because I think we are very creative as independent watchmakers. And when people are coming, they discover what other watchmakers are doing, and it's I think it's a good thing to develop the visibility of independent watchmaking.
Right.
It has been absolutely a great a force that has brought together so many of those prodigious talents. Because before AHCI came along, a lot of you guys, a lot of the watchmakers before you, Raúl, and before you, Dan, were working they were known in their own localities. for being this amazing talent, amazing watchmakers. And really, if you live 50 kilometers away, you may never hear of this extraordinary, contemporary, historically significant watchmaker. And so what AHCI did, and I think AHCI was started under the with Sven Anderson and with the bridge, Vincent Calabrese, you know. You're gonna cut there, boy. But so it was started with those two guys, and they have got together. And what makes AHCI so unusual is that you can't just join the AHCI. You can't say, "Oh, I want to be a member of the AHCI. Here's my subscription fee." AHCI is invitation only, and the criteria for being accepted is so demanding. It is so exacting and what you have to be able to do in your own workshop is basically everything except maybe make the glass or the case or something. But all of the mechanicals, you have to be able to produce those yourself. So what AHCI have done over the last 20 odd years is bring those independents together. Whenever it comes to the big watch shows like Basel, that they're able to block book a kiosk for all of the participating members to showcase their watches or their timepieces at that year. The independent guy would never be able to do that on his own. And so it has provided a platform for the independents. And so, yes, to be a member of AHCI, an invitation-only academy of watchmakers, it's a great privilege, and it underlines the fact you're on here tonight. I am delighted to have another AHCI member on in the medal, and I think I could say that same for Dan too.
Yeah, I just think that what they did for people who don't know, you know, obviously there's watch shows just like there's gear shows for musicians, you know, like a NAMM. We have our own shows. And you know, in the past it was just the availability to buy a booth and show our product as independent watchmakers would be out of the realm of cost versus what we would gain. So independent watchmakers, when me and Raúl started school, we would just see maybe a picture in a magazine of Paul Gerber of he made a triple rotor. You know, we're looking at that one little picture. That's all the dude would get, like a little picture. You know, like it's like in the past in music, the punk bands would get like a little teeny picture. You know, I mean, way back when the Ramones, it was like a little picture, and then you know you'd have a big giant thing of Madonna. You know, whatever it was. It's kind of like that. We wouldn't get, you know, the recognition of what it was. And what they did was their funding was enabled independent watchmakers they took a huge booth in these shows and gave Raúl a place to place his pieces and other independent watchmakers. So someone who was just walking around, typically shopping for something else from consumer rated, let's say luxury timepieces, would stumble upon and see our art and then recognize it as what it really truly is, you know, above everything else. We're the ones trying to break the boundaries. We're the one with no rules. We have no boardroom. We have no one to tell us how it should be done. Only our past experience, being like Raúl, traditionally trained. He worked on many museum pieces. He knows when he creates his piece, it's going to kick ass and it's going to be better than anything that he's ever seen. Well, at least he's trying to get it past that point. And it's a place for us to show our art. And it's just amazing what they've done for independent watchmaking, especially way back when there was nothing. You know, we didn't have anything. So I really want to give a shout out to them. For those who don't know, go on AHCI. I think it's AHCI.com, or just do a Google. Yeah. And you'll see Raúl's face right there with the masters of all time, which is really cool. It's kind of like Raúl won a Grammy, you know. I've been there too, Raúl.
Yeah, you have 3 times, man.
Oh, wait. Let's talk about music. Raúl, are you a metalhead? I mean, what do you listen to? When you were going to school in La Loc, did you have headphones in? Were you and your buddies, what were you blasting, you know? Was it Tchaikovsky? What was it?
Yeah, I really love music. I play guitar also.
Oh, really?
I have 14. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And at the beginning, it was more hard rock music, and now I'm more on soul music and jazz. And,
Jazz, yeah.
Yeah, I really like it. Yeah.
Like jazz, like Coltrane and Benny Goodman and all those kind of guys.
Miles Davis. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I listen to that too when I work. Actually,
Wow.
Yeah, I grew up. My dad was a huge jazz aficionado, and his hobby was collecting like really crazy blasting stereos, like insane stuff. Brilliant. I mean, his stereos were louder than my walls of Marshall amps, and he would blow us out of bed 5 a.m. Freaking Benny Goodman or Tal Follow or whatever it was. He's just blasting us, and we had maybe just got in at 3 a.m. and finally fell asleep as young kids. On a Friday night. Saturday morning, 5 a.m. I got 2 hours sleep, and there's the horns are blasting. Could be whatever it was, and it blew us out of bed. So yeah, I have jazz embedded in my soul everywhere. Old school.
Yeah. Hey, if you can play jazz well, you can play anything, man.
That's freestyle. Wow, I didn't know you played. That's great, man. So you were on your way to, as you're a young kid, you've been playing a long time then, obviously.
Yes. And I had a band. But we played funk music.
That's killer, bro.
Yeah.
See? We're human, everybody. We're human. We're not just watchmakers in a little shed somewhere on the top of Labrassu Mountain, killing chickens to eat. It's not us.
Yeah. Rock and roll, guys. Watchmaking is heavy metal. It really is. It really is. Speaking of heavy metal, and before we move on, because we should come back to the music in a few minutes, but we can't let this chance go without having a look at what your signature piece, really, the piece that said Raúl Pagès has arrived. And this was, what year was this? 2012, 2011, the La Tortue?
Yeah, I finished at the beginning of 2012.
Yeah. How many years in the development?
Oh, lots.
Because guy, take a look at this.
The story of this piece, it's after school I worked during 6 years at the restoration workshop of Parmigiani in Fleury, and I restored lots of antique masterpieces, pocket watches, automatons, clocks, and I discovered this kind of animals automatons during this period of my work, and I restored a little frog automaton from 200 years ago. It was produced 200 years ago, and it was amazing for me. I discovered this kind of piece. There was no time at all. It was only an automaton. So you wind up with a key, the frog. You put on the table, and the frog is moving the legs, making the sound of the frog. It was amazing, and it gives me the idea to develop this kind of object. And it was not really a dream at the beginning to launch myself as an independent watchmaker. It was just, I want to develop something, and after the work during the night, I started with my computer starting to develop the movements, and finally I finished to develop the movements of these tortoise, and maybe I can produce it in the real metal. And so I decided to leave my work at Parmigiani and to work day and night on the fabrication of the movement of this tortoise. So during all the year of 2011, I work. So maybe the development I passed maybe 6 months to 1 year to develop it, and after to produce the movement, I passed the full year of 2011 and full year to produce this unique piece, the movement, and after so I make a prototype. and it was working. So I started the finishing of the movement, and then I work with different craftsmen to make the outside parts of the tortoise. I work with a specialist in enamel, hand engraver. A guy make me the guilloche for the barrel. It's there's a big barrel.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah, thank you.
It's coming up. It's coming up now. I'm getting an image.
It's maybe 2 years of work. If
anyone hasn't seen, there's Raúl has a couple videos out there. You can find them on YouTube or on his website. It just so you know what he's talking about. If you haven't seen it, it moves, it crawls, it's a turtle.
Yeah,
and it does it old school, very, very old school.
Like that.
We can set the mechanism. Yeah.
I mean, I think what Raúl is, his toes are like diamonds, right?
Yeah, yeah. The diamonds for those pear shaped diamonds. Yeah.
No, I'm not joking, everyone.
Yeah, absolutely.
And 2 sapphires for the eyes. 2 cabochons, so round shape sapphires blue sapphires for the eyes.
It's just so beautiful.
Yeah, it's extraordinary. I'm sorry I haven't got a higher resolution image of it, but really and truly, if you can imagine what is going on in there, it's a mechanical watch movement. It's a historic movement too, if I'm right, Raúl. Yeah, and its only purpose is to move that little guy, move his 4 legs and his head as he walks across the surface, and
it's a toy.
It's a toy.
Where does the tortoise sit now? Where is it?
Now it's at it's in a showroom in Geneva.
It moves around.
I saw
right?
that. Yeah.
It moves around, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I still have it because I want to keep it for myself. It's
keep it and just show it when you show your timepieces. You show your next one. I'm sure you'll take it back and from who you've entrusted it. And I think it should be something that follows you and your next series of what you do to show people where we start and exactly. where we end up. And I see you did some Coast de Genève on this movement. You have a Coast de Genève machine behind you in the workshop there, right?
Yes. It's a modern machine.
It's modern, but you're using wood.
Yes, sure.
Not modern. It spins modern. Big deal. But see, I want to press on this because so people don't understand. I spent about a year to make my own. I've worked on the one that you have, and it's finished now. But again, I've tried other more modern ways, so people understand. When we're making Coast de Genève, those are the stripes that you see, and each company might have their own kind of way they do it. And the more corporate companies, they have to do it very swiftly and repetitively. So they nowadays have diamond wheels. They don't use natural pastes, and other people have other forms of making the Geneva stripes. Or Coast de Genève, like Hajime Osaka in Japan has figured out his own way to not use a machine, but he uses an end mill, which we've all seen done on inexpensive, cheap watches. But he figured out a way to make it look really amazing. Actually, it kind of blows all our minds how he's done it. Yeah. He thinks differently than us. But someone like Raúl and myself, we're real old school, and we mix pastes. And we use certain kinds of woods that are secret, and I'm not going to tell you what my wood is because I might have spent weeks and weeks making that one little piece. And Raúl probably the same. And we have our own way of doing it. I think Raúl could probably expand upon that, but it's our signature. It is our stripes. And, the same thing for my timepiece. So I find that fascinating, and people should know that these machines are stupid expensive. Okay, ridiculously expensive. So if you are a collector, I'm going to go back. I don't know if Raúl has seen some of our other episodes. If you are a collector By pre-ordering or funding an independent watchmaker before or as he starts a piece for you or your friends, that money that you're pre-ordering on is what helps someone like Raúl or anyone else get the proper machining. We don't squander money. Mainly, we keep buying more machines because we're addicted to machines. But those machines also enable us to do things outside the box that are in our head that we've seen come across our benches in these historical pieces. We have to find those old machines, or nowadays there are a few companies in Switzerland, which is one that makes the machine that Raúl is talking about for doing Coast de Genève. And these are, you're helping us get there. So if there is an independent watchmaker you're looking at and you're going, oh, I'll just wait for him to finish the watch. No, if you have the means to help that person, give him his deposit or even pay in full and say, I trust you. I know you'll get me my watch, because you're helping him expand his brain, take some pressure off himself, and elaborate his art. And he might even, do something special for that timepiece that comes to you.
Yeah.
Just something I'm throwing out there. I've thrown it out there before. I don't think anyone's really said anything like that before in watchmaking. Those independent watchmakers that are just starting out, when Raúl just started out, if someone would have done that, or 3 people or 4 people would have done that to him and believed in him and gave him that deposit for his tortoise or for his first piece, it would have made life a lot easier, and he could have made more pieces and breathed a little better. So if you can, in this day and age, I know the pandemic and everything has kind of, put a squash on some of that for some people, but if you can help someone, a young watchmaker, help them along.
Look, when you mention it, it's something that people think nothing of funding a Kickstarter,
right?
And
it's the same principle.
It's probably more exclusive, more personal, more intimate, because you're speaking about probably a piece unique, as opposed to funding one of 100 new watches or 500 new watches. So yeah,
right, like Raúl says, like Raúl said, the Shablin 70 he uses can do anything. So imagine if you and your 2 friends see somebody's CAD drawings, or a watchmaker is coming out of school or is a young watchmaker, and he's struggling. He doesn't have the right equipment. He doesn't have a Shablin 70. And as Raúl will probably explain to you, it's not the Shablin 70. It's all the accessories that are so hard to find and so expensive that we need. Your money, the first thing that young watchmaker probably would do is go find the Shablin 70, restore it, start to use your money, because that will make the parts in your timepiece more precise, more repeatable, and you'll make, you're going to set this gentleman on his way. He's been in school for 4 or 5, or in Raúl's case, 7 years plus another 10 years of apprenticeship. Help him along the way if you have those means, and you're still getting your timepiece, but you're being part of that Kickstarter, is what Johnny said. Johnny, you're right.
Yeah, maybe it's an idea to fund some of that more those personal independent watchmakers who are not looking to produce 100 pieces cased up in an off-the-shelf case with an off-the-shelf dial, and these are very personal pieces. So yeah, it probably is something that there might be some legs in that there. But listen, Raúl, we've crossed that hour mark. Just wondering, what about 2020? What are you working on at the minute? And I think you're working on your own fully in-house AHCI standard movement. So what's going on?
Raúl stands.
Of course, the Soberly Onyx was limited to only 10 pieces.
10, yeah.
And now it's sold out. I finished the series. And during this time I produced these 10 pieces, I started to develop my own movements. So I work on it since maybe 1 year, a little bit more. And now I just finished the development, the CAD development, and now I'm starting to produce the component of that movement.
Are you making your own main plate?
Yes. Every component.
Will you be making it in we say the word in-house? We're allowed to say this, Raúl, so not abused, because it's in your house.
Yes, exactly.
Same with me. The real in-house, yeah. It's in my house. The first floor is
exactly.
So you make you design in CAD. You don't use any CNC for the new movement?
No.
So you will be making the main plate on the houser.
Yeah. Exactly.
You will be married to the houser.
Yeah. The houser and the shoblin. Yeah.
And the shoblin. So will you expand, and are you looking to acquire any new tools? Are you interested in prototype CNC machines to have for your workshop in the future?
Maybe, yeah, it's a possibility. If I had to make pieces with the CNC, I like the way you are doing them. To produce the CNC, which in the workshop, and produce the component with that in-house CNC machine.
Right. Well, this is what I wanted to touch base just before we end. Hang up here and cut this off, is to keep showing people that what we're using is not these giant CNC machines that they just come spitting out parts. It just helps us move along and make a few more pieces a year. They still come off the machine very, very raw. I just finished developing a titanium spring 0.02 millimeters thick, and it has to be made like inside a cocoon. And I had to figure out a way to do that because I don't have a EDM wire machine. They're too expensive and too large for my electricity bill. Nevertheless, the cost of the machine. So we figure out a way. So it still really is manual, of what I'm doing. So Raúl, just so I think you know this anyway. You visit many shops where you are. But I want to express to people what we're doing by having a small CNC prototype machine is still raw. But once I get, say, that first spring correct, then I can make the second, third, fourth one for those series of timepieces for that year, and they are the same. There's still lots of hand filing for the spring. It's still old school, but it enables us to make parts that we couldn't make by hand, shapes and whatnot. We can mess around on CAD and give a couple tries, but it's not what you people are thinking it is. So we want you to, I want to really keep conveying in each one of these episodes when we talk to watchmakers that's how we're utilizing the machines. They really are just prototype machines. And if you have the means to buy those and give them to a watchmaker, do it. That's great news, Raúl. So ground up.
Yeah.
Are you still gonna be keeping the movement like a basic, keep it simple, time only, maybe with one complication kind of thing?
In fact, I'm on two projects, different projects. One project is that a time only based movement, and I have another project to develop a wristwatch with automaton. I want to go back to automatons, but in a wristwatch. So
it's wonderful.
Two different caliber, two different movements.
Wow!
And but it's a huge work to do.
Well, is it going to be a singing turtle or a bird?
Not really. It will be. I really like art also, and the inspiration for these automatons will be more. It's more an artistic project, like a sculpture, animated sculpture.
Wonderful.
And it will be amazing.
You do an automaton of a rock star, and
Well, I hope you. I wish you so much success. You deserve to be in the forefront of the greatest of our time, and you are. I want you to know, again, I've been following you a long time, and there's many other people like me that do follow you. We wish you would post more pictures on Instagram for us. I know it's very difficult, but we like to all see inside each other's workshops, and because through the machines and the tools and the workshop, we also understand your mind as a watchmaker. So also, I think the collector is the same way. they're buying a piece of us and our art.
Yeah.
And I know what you have in store ahead is going to be incredible. If anyone out there is even remotely interested in what Raúl is doing in the future, you better jump quick, because I'm sure there's not going to be many pieces per year that he produces. That's not how he works. Especially if Raúl is making the main plates, just so you understood that Raúl is making the main plates on his Hauser machine that he showed you earlier, which is completely manual. He can only do maybe 2 a year, I think, Raúl, huh?
Yeah, probably, yeah. Maybe
with
with some tools you can produce a little bit more.
Right, yeah.
But it's very small quantities. Yeah,
I think Raúl, what I try to say, what I learned is, if you could have a small CNC machine, maybe we can make 5. So just so everyone out there understands too, it helps Raúl. But then next year he can walk up to the machine and have the machine make that main plate is what we all strive to be able to make in-house. It's so complicated. And has to be so precise. To do this by hand it's a mind game. And when one mistake and months of your life is gone.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
He laughs, but no.
I know, yeah.
And it happens. You know,
it happened.
I have my lights jig boy here is very rare.
Let's have a look. I found a new button here, Dan. Let's have a look. Let's have a look quick. Hey.
Really nice.
That's my lights. Yeah, that one was hard to find because Hausers in our country don't exist. Only maybe 1 or 2 around, and I restored it. But I found it almost brand new. Just had been sitting for 60 years somewhere. So I know the pain, Raúl. I know the pain, bro.
Yeah, you know.
Guys, listen, we're gonna wrap up now. We've gone over that 70 minutes. I love it. I could go on for another hour, no problem. But the light's getting a little bit dark with you, Raúl. Yeah. But I tell you what, man. I hope that you have enjoyed this. I hope that you've been able to you found that we're able to understand this and that it all went smoothly for you. I'm going to ask you to hang around there. Don't do anything after I end, because we want to say goodbye to you after we've ended up here. But I want to really thank you for coming on.
Yes.
And we definitely want to catch up with you again to see your next developments. And we'd like In the Metal to be a kind of a little a group of friends who can come back time and again and let us know what's going on, and to keep us up to date with their incredible, extraordinary, otherworldly work. And so from me, thank you. I'm sure Dan wants to say thanks. And Raúl, hang about after we've ended here.
Yeah, I just want to say it's been an absolute pleasure. You're a master. And next time I'm over there with or without my mask, I'll be infiltrating your shop, bro.
You are welcome. Yeah, you are more than welcome.
We hang, bro. We'll jam. You break out the guitar.
Yeah, sure.
I've got a surprise for you, Dan Spitz. I got an old 74 Telecaster, deluxe custom, sitting over there winking at me too, boy. So listen, Raúl, thank you very much indeed. Hang about a moment, and for everybody for watching this installment of In the Metal, it's been fantastic. Every week it's getting better. And heck, I don't think I fluffed too many lines tonight either. So there's hope for all of us. So from myself, from Dan, from Raúl, thank you very much, everyone. And we hope to catch up with you next week. We've got another superstar of watchmaking lined up. So peace out, brothers. Thank you.
Thank you.